I've got loads of water here, and here, and here.
But not here, the site of the future market farm, and the one place that it really does need to be. So it seems a little odd to be talking about the lack of water when 2019 autumn for the UK was very, very wet, and it's continued well into 2020. And I've got running streams and ditches and ponds full of water, but of course they are not constant. And a dry summer will mean that they will just evaporate away. So I need to think about water here.
It's pretty mild up here. It's about 10 degrees centigrade. It's very windy though, so I'm trying to kind of keep out the way of the bluster. I've also started now to bring stuff up from home because we want to start clearing our property. We can't obviously move everything up here until we're completely up sticks and come to this area, but I can start to move plants. So I've kind of filled the car with loads of stuff. So there's a smoke bush and an elderflower here that I dug up from home. They're bare root at the moment, so I've just shoved their roots into this bag and I'm going to pot them up here. And I'll just put them in these pots and sit them on this tray. The same with this Fatsia japonica. This stuff was in my conservatory, and you can see it has a massive aphid infestation because it has been so mild. So I've been acclimatizing it to the outside weather, and I'm going to bring it up here, and hopefully the cold weather will kill off these pests and allow there's 4 plants here, allow them just to get growing. And then the other thing is I've brought up some bog plants, sarracenias, the sundews in here, and Venus flytraps. And I brought them up, I've left them in these pots. I've got another 2 pots here, and I'm just going to pop them in the pond. That's not going to be their final resting place, but for now I'm just going to dump them into the pond so they can overwinter there, and they're out of the way, and it means I can start to kind of empty the garden at home. And so in addition to that, I've also got our gunnera, again going to just pop it into the pond, leave it there. They're bog plants, not water plants, but they'll be fine over winter, and then when spring comes and they start growing, then we'll be here and we can start moving them. As I mentioned, this is not their final resting place. This is just a short stay for them, so I can overwinter them up here. They're out of my garden at home, and then when we are up here later in the year, we can start to actually use them in a more ornamental, productive way. These carnivorous plants are all completely frost tolerant. They are hardy. There are no tropical ones here, so this can actually be snowed on and frosted, and they will be quite happy. The main thing that you've got to worry about them over winter is you don't want them to dry out. So I don't want to put them in a greenhouse or anything. So sitting here in the pond will be perfectly fine for them. And then next year, this year even, 2020, later this year, we will dig into them, we'll split them up, we'll pair them up properly, and then we'll maybe use some in the polytunnel to help reduce flies, maybe some around chicken coops and things again to reduce flies, and then some will probably be potted up in and around this pond as part of our bog planting. I always forget how wheeling that wheelbarrow up this hill makes me feel so unfit, but I've got to go and get that gunnera and the other pot. Heartened to see is that although I thought all the primroses had died and I'd only found a couple, down here are signs of life. So this little primrose is completely hidden below the surface, so it's with much hope that there's many more of those to spring out from below the soil. So I'm just walking through the future pheasantry area to where we're going to have our future market farm garden. It's going to be out here. it even has a dog. So I'm gonna in a minute peg out the boundary because our farmer wants to use this field as silage again. So he's gonna reseed some of it. So I'm just gonna mark out the boundary so he doesn't dig up that section. I've been looking at the aspect over the past few years about where to put the Market Farm garden, and it works really well here. It gets a lot of sun. It also gets a little bit of shade, and then it has the hedgerow as well, which is a really, really good habitat and environment for birds. And I want those birds because although birds come down and they might try and eat your fruits and peck at things, they will also eat some bugs and pests. So I do want that. So it's quite a good situation. Now the only problem is there is no water. If you've been watching farming videos and things over the years, you'll have seen most people use a sprinkler system or drip lines, and that is something that I intend to use in the future, but I have nothing to pop the drip lines onto at the moment. I have no tap. So to begin with, and although it's going to be a monstrous effort, I think we are going to use kind of Charles Dowding's hand watering method. We are a temperate climate, so it's not like we're desert and we don't have any rain, so things will get natural rain, and there is also quite a lot of water in the ground, and there should be, especially through the first few months of this year because of the amount of water we had last year. We don't have free draining soil here, we have quite heavy clay soil, so it will hold a lot of moisture. I'm also using no dig methods, and I'm going to be putting a lot of manure rich loamy compost on top, which again is more moisture retentive, so should solve the issue of not having to need constant water. We do have luckily a mains water just down the drive, so we're going to have to apply it to the water boards to have that connected up and brought onto our property, and that can all take time. So my main issue here is not kind of the future years of the market garden, because we'll have our house which will just be here and then we can tap into water and electricity there, but it's these first few months, this first year of the farm, where we don't necessarily have the utilities to hand. So I've kind of roughly marked out the perimeter of the Market Farm garden and just put the baling twine in this corner as well. I've run out of baling twine, otherwise I'd do the rest. Now that bit of baling twine is right down that end, and actually that's where originally I was going to have the polytunnels, and I think I still am, because I don't like it to be claustrophobic. I don't want to feel like the polytunnels are right up on top of the house and on top of the pheasantry and the vulture conservation stuff. But when it comes to hand watering, that's going to be a pain, because in a polytunnel you've got to water. It hasn't got the natural rain coming down, and also the polytunnel is where you start your seedlings, and again they need water. So I think I might just have to suck it up and manually water the polytunnel, and just walk stuff up and down, which is going to be a pain. But as I say, as soon as the house is in here and as soon as we've got water piped up, it may not be so much of an issue. Well, the wind today is not very conducive to filming a video, so I think I'm going to leave it there, but it's kind of giving you an idea of where the market garden is going to be. And we've actually just had some really good news. Bumped into our tenant farmer, had a chat with him about utilities, and it seems that the chap that bought the old farmhouse did get mains water piped up here, and in fact really piped right onto almost our drive. So he has right of way on our drive, but the drive is in our name. So it does mean actually that connecting mains water to this land is going to be way easier and way cheaper than I initially thought. We still have to pay just over £100 to get technicians to come out from the water board to check that it's feasible, but at least now that we know that it is feasible. I still want to use as little water as possible, because we are trying to be eco-conscious and kind of work along some permaculture lines. So I think initially, of course, hand watering is going to be the best way, and there is a well, and I'm sure that our neighbour won't mind if we just use a bit of the well water, but it does look a bit more positive on the waterfront, that we'll actually be able to get it here. Maybe we'll even be able to get it here this spring so we can use it this summer. Thank you for watching as always. If you've got any questions, just drop them in the comments below. It's getting dark and it's still really windy. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. If you're on Facebook, come and join us at Brimwood Farm's community group. If you've liked the video, please hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing. But for now, I'm going to say bye-bye. Bye.